Effective immediately. HR downstairs. 5 words. That's all Madison Lawson said before she dropped the termination notice on my desk and walked out. No handshake, no explanation. Just a piece of paper that would detonate a $285 million merger in exactly 72 hours. She had no idea what she'd just done. I'm Jim Bennett. I'm 50 years old. And I just got fired from Graybridge Defense Systems, the company I'd given 23 years of my life to. I looked down at the notice. Expensive cream paper, the kind they use when they want to make something look official. My name at the top. The date and time stamped across the middle. I checked my watch. It was exactly 12 to noon on a Monday. My $127,000 performance bonus was scheduled to hit my account Thursday at noon, 72 hours from now. Madison thought she was being clever. Cut me loose before payday, save the company money. What she didn't know was that bonus wasn't just money. It was a tripwire connected to the one thing holding her merger together. Here's what you need to understand. That $127,000 was tied to a clause written 12 years ago by the company founder, Colonel William Hutchinson. Bill was a retired Marine, the kind of man who believed your word meant something and loyalty went both ways. When he wrote that clause into my contract, he made sure nobody could ever strip away what we'd built together. The clause was simple. Once that bonus paid, full ownership of our core defense protocol, the ironclad system, would automatically transfer to me, not symbolically, legally. And without that system, Graybridge had nothing to offer Sentinel Defense Group. Madison had just armed a bomb she didn't know existed. I signed the termination notice without a word. My hand didn't shake. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and headed for the elevator. HR was waiting in the lobby like they were escorting a criminal. I nodded and kept walking. On my desk, I'd left a small black USB drive. I saw Madison glance at it as I passed her office. She probably thought it was my backup, proof she'd secured everything she needed. That drive was empty, had been for years. Every real backup, every line of code for the ironclad system was locked behind biometric encryption only I could access. I got in my truck and drove home. The city looked normal, people going about their Monday. Nobody knew that in 72 hours, the biggest defense merger of the year would collapse, and it would all trace back to 5 words in an office. When I walked through the front door, Carol was in the kitchen. She took one look at my face and set down her coffee. "Jim?" I got fired. "What happened?" Madison walked into my office at noon and handed me a termination notice, effective immediately. Carol's been my wife for 25 years. She's seen me through 8 years in the Navy, through all-nighters when systems crashed, through crises that would have broken other marriages. But this was different. Ashley's a senior in college, Brian's a junior, we've got tuition payments and a mortgage. Why would she do that? Because she's trying to cut me out before my bonus pays. She thinks she's saving $127,000. And the clause, she just triggered it. In 72 hours, I'll own the ironclad system, not Graybridge. Me. Carol pulled out the chair across from me. What about the merger? Dead without it? She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I wasn't ready for. "Jim, you've given them 23 years. What about us? What about Ashley and Brian? What about your health?" That hit harder than the termination. 3 months ago, my doctor told me my blood sugar was too high. Pre-diabetes. He said I needed to cut stress, lose weight, maybe think about early retirement. I'd promised Carol we'd go to Montana for a month when this merger closed. Just us, a lake, and no phones. I know what I promised. Do you? Because you've been talking about retirement for 2 years and you're still there every weekend. This is different. How? Because Bill trusted me to protect what we built. And Madison just tried to destroy it because she didn't bother reading the contracts she's supposed to be managing. Carol studied my face. She wasn't angry, just tired. Then finish it. But when this is over, we're going to Montana. No arguments. Deal. I went upstairs to my home office and powered up my workstation. A countdown clock appeared on screen. Red numbers ticking down. 71 hours, 58 minutes, 42 seconds. Let me tell you about Bill Hutchinson. I met him 23 years ago when I was 27, fresh out of my Navy contractor work. Graybridge was nothing back then. Just a warehouse full of engineers trying to build cybersecurity for military contracts. Bill saw something in me that first day. Maybe it was the discipline from my service, maybe it was that we both believed the same thing. If you're going to build something, build it right and protect the people who help you do it. Over the years, I became the guy they called when everything was on fire. In 2020, when a ransomware attack hit the Eastern power grid, I was the one who stayed up 72 hours straight rebuilding our protocols from bare metal. The entire Eastern seaboard could have gone dark. We stopped it with 6 minutes to spare. When the Pentagon needed quantum-resistant encryption for SCADA networks that controlled nuclear facilities, I designed the system. When our biggest client demanded zero-day patches in 48 hours, I delivered in 36. I didn't do it for awards. I did it because that's what you do when you're part of something that matters. 12 years ago, Bill asked me to meet him at a steakhouse in Arlington. It was a Thursday night, both of us exhausted from a week of crisis management. Over bourbon, he told me he'd written something into my contract that nobody else knew about. "Jim," he said, "I've been in this business long enough to see what happens when the wrong people take control. They gut everything that made a place worth a damn. I won't let that happen to what we built." He explained the clause. My annual bonus wasn't just compensation, it was a legal trigger. Once paid, the intellectual property rights for the ironclad system would transfer to me automatically. The transfer agreement was already executed, held in escrow, waiting for that payment confirmation from Graybridge's payroll system. "You'll own it," Bill said. "Nobody can steal it, sell it to the wrong buyer, or run it into the ground." I remember setting down my glass. "Bill, that's your life's work." "No, it's our life's work. And I trust you to protect it more than I trust any board of directors." At the time, I thought he was being paranoid, but Bill had survived 2 tours in Vietnam. He knew how to see threats before they materialized. Now, sitting at my desk watching that countdown, I understood. Bill had seen this coming 12 years before it happened. He'd built a fail-safe, and Madison had just activated it. I checked my security protocols. Credentials valid, encryption keys untouched, no unauthorized access attempts. Madison and her IT team hadn't even tried to breach the system. They thought that empty USB drive was enough. Then I set up one more thing, an automated email scheduled to send if the licensing rights weren't renewed before the timer hit 0. The recipients, 3 lawyers at Sentinel Defense Group. The message was direct. As of Thursday, 12 o'clock noon, Graybridge Defense Systems will no longer hold valid licensing rights to the Ironclad protocol central to the Sentinel integration. Please review Section 14 of the merger agreement. Section 14, the key personnel continuity clause. It listed 3 people as essential to the merger integration. I was first on that list. If any of us left before completion, Sentinel had the right to delay, renegotiate, or walk away. Madison had never read it. I'd bet my pension on that. The email would send automatically. No button to push, no dramatic moment, just a quiet notification that would tear apart everything she'd been bragging about for 6 months. I went back downstairs. Carol had dinner on the table. We ate in silence, both of us thinking about what came next. Afterward, I sat on the porch with my bourbon and watched the sun set over the neighborhood. My phone rang twice. Unknown numbers. I let them go to voicemail. There'd be time for conversations later. Right now, the clock was ticking, and Madison Lawson had no idea the ground was crumbling underneath her feet. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. Carol was still asleep. I went downstairs, made coffee, and checked my phone. 3 missed calls, all from numbers I didn't recognize. 2 voicemails. I deleted them without listening. The countdown on my computer read 59 hours, 12 minutes, 7 seconds. I was halfway through my coffee when my phone rang again. This time, it was a reporter from a financial news outlet. The email came through first, polite but direct. She'd heard rumors about personnel changes at Graybridge related to the Sentinel merger. Did I have any comment? I wrote, "Back 1 line. Ask them about Section 14. That's all it took. Section 14 was buried in the merger agreement, the key personnel continuity clause. 3 names listed as essential. Mine was first. Madison had signed it 6 months ago without reading the fine print. Now a reporter was about to start asking questions that would make Sentinel's lawyers very uncomfortable. I went for a walk. The morning air was cold, the streets mostly empty. I needed to clear my head. My chest felt tight, that familiar pressure I'd been ignoring for months. The doctor's voice echoed in my head. "Your blood sugar's too high, Jim. You need to reduce stress." I pushed the thought away and kept walking. By the time I got home, my inbox had a new message. Diane Sullivan, lead counsel for Sentinel Defense Group. She wanted to talk. I called her back. Mr. Bennett, thank you for taking my call. We've had some questions raised about the merger agreement, specifically Section 14. We were hoping you could provide clarity. I kept my voice level. Section 14 is your key personnel continuity clause. You should have the original agreement on file. Yes, we do, but there's ambiguity about the licensing rights if certain personnel are no longer with Graybridge during integration. No ambiguity, I said. The language is explicit. Without my role, the licensing rights for the Ironclad system don't remain with Graybridge. Silence on the other end. Then, would you confirm whether those rights are currently in force? The licensing certificate was last validated while I was employed. My status changed yesterday. If you want confirmation beyond that, ask Graybridge for the current certificate. She let out a breath. Understood. Thank you for your time. 10 minutes later, my inbox exploded. Someone at Sentinel had forwarded an internal email chain to the wrong distribution list, and my address got caught in it. The entire conversation was there. Diane had sent an urgent request to Graybridge's legal team demanding immediate proof of ownership for the Ironclad system. Her email was direct. As per Section 14, the absence of James Bennett from Graybridge employment raises substantial risk to licensing validity. Provide current certification showing active, uncontested ownership. The forwarded chain also showed that Randall Pierce, one of Graybridge's board directors, was now copied. Randall was the pragmatic one, the guy who actually read contracts. He'd be asking questions Madison couldn't answer. I closed my laptop and didn't forward the email anywhere. The less I moved, the more they'd scramble. That afternoon, my phone rang. It was Alan Ridgway, one of our senior engineers. I'd been training Alan for 3 years, teaching him not just the technical work, but how to think like an architect. He was 32, smart, and loyal in a way that's rare these days. Mr. Bennett, I wanted you to know something. What's that? Madison called me into her office this morning. She offered me VP of Engineering, $200,000 salary, said I could start Monday. I waited. I told her I don't work for titles. I work for people who earn respect. Then I walked out. Something in my chest loosened. You didn't have to do that, Alan. Yeah, I did. You taught me integrity matters more than money. I'm not forgetting that because she's waving a bigger check. I appreciate it. One more thing. She asked me where you kept the Ironclad backups. I told her I didn't know. She had IT trying to access your old workstation. They won't find anything. That's what I figured. Just wanted you to know she's panicking. After we hung up, I sat back and thought about what Alan had said. Madison was scrambling, trying every angle she could think of, but it was too late. The clause was already in motion. Carol came into the office with a sandwich. You need to eat. I'm fine. Jim, you look exhausted. When's the last time you slept properly? I slept last night for 4 hours. I heard you get up. She set the plate down. This isn't just about the merger, is it? I looked at her. What do you mean? You're carrying something. You have been for years. It's not just about protecting Bill's legacy. It's about proving you were right to give them 23 years. She wasn't wrong. Part of me needed Madison to understand what she'd thrown away, not for revenge, for validation, to know that all those nights, all those weekends, all those times I chose work over family dinners actually meant something. Maybe, I said. Carol squeezed my shoulder. Finish it. Then we're going to Montana and you're going to let this go. That evening, the news broke. Graybridge Defense Systems stock dropped 15%. The financial networks ran alerts. Unconfirmed risk in Sentinel merger. Key licensing question raises investor concerns. Graybridge declines comment. I watched it unfold on my phone. Inside Graybridge headquarters, it would be chaos. Emergency board meetings. Lawyers scrambling. Madison trying to explain how this happened while her father, Charles Lawson, demanded answers. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need you back. But not under Madison. That was Randall Pierce. I recognized the phrasing. He'd been in enough meetings with me to know my value. But I didn't respond. Not yet. Some offers are worth making them ask twice. Another news alert came through. Sentinel Defense Group declines to reaffirm merger timeline. That was the shot across the bow. It told investors the deal might not close. It told Graybridge's board they'd lost control of the situation. And it told Madison that the clock I'd set was ticking louder than anything she could do to stop it. I checked the countdown. 47 hours, 33 minutes, 18 seconds. Carol and I had dinner together that night. Ashley called from college, worried because she'd seen the news about Graybridge online. I told her everything was fine, that I'd landed on my feet. It wasn't a lie. Not really. After dinner, I sat on the porch again with my bourbon. The neighborhood was quiet. Somewhere across town, Madison was probably still in that conference room, trying to convince the board she had everything under control. She didn't. And in less than 48 hours, everyone would know it. The call came at 9:47 Wednesday morning. Madison's number flashed on my screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Jim Bennett. Where the hell have you been? Her voice was sharp, barely controlled. Sentinel's legal team called me. They said they spoke to you. What did you tell them? Good morning to you too. Don't. They're acting like there's a problem with Section 14. What did you say? Have you read the contract? Silence. The kind that stretches too long. I've reviewed the key sections, she said finally. I'd recommend reading all of it, especially the parts your legal team didn't flag. Jim, this isn't a game. They want proof of ownership for the ironclad system. We can't find the certificate. Which system are you checking? The legal vault, the contract archive. I almost smiled. That's interesting. Last time I checked, the licensing certificate was in a separate vault, one with restricted access. The vault you controlled? I glanced at my monitor. The countdown read 26 hours, 13 minutes, 51 seconds. Jim, just tell me where it is. That would require me to still work for the company. I don't. I heard her moving, shoes clicking fast against hard floors. If we can't produce that certificate, the merger... She stopped herself. If you can't produce it, I said quietly, Sentinel will invoke the delay clause, 9 months minimum, maybe longer, and during that time, they'll decide whether this deal is worth salvaging. Damn it, Jim, the shout cracked. This is my reputation on the line. Yes, it is. Neither of us spoke. Then she tried again, voice softer. Look, if we work something out, if I talk to the board about reinstating you, I'm not coming back, Madison. But read your contract. All of it. I ended the call. Carol walked in a minute later. That was her? Yeah. How'd it go? About like you'd expect. She handed me a glass of water. You look pale. You okay? The tightness in my chest was back, sharper this time. I waved it off. Just stress. I'm fine. Jim, you promised me after this was done. I know. Montana. I remember. She didn't look convinced, but she let it go. An hour later, the market opened and Graybridge stock dropped another 8%. Total decline, 23% in 2 days. The news coverage intensified. Financial analysts were downgrading the stock from hold to sell. One analyst used the phrase, catastrophic due diligence failure. Another called it executive negligence at the highest level. My phone lit up with notifications. Someone had leaked audio from a Graybridge board meeting. I clicked the link. The recording was muffled, but clear enough. Randall Pierce's voice. Madison, walk me through this. You terminated Bennett 72 hours before his bonus payment. The same bonus tied to the IP transfer clause. Did you read that section of his contract? Madison. I was told the bonus was standard compensation. Randall. By who? Because legal flagged this clause 12 years ago when Bill wrote it. It's in the files. Charles Lawson, Madison's father. We'll fix this. We'll offer Bennett whatever he wants. Randall. He won't take it. I already reached out. He's not interested in coming back. Charles. Then we'll sue. Breach of contract. Theft of intellectual property. Randall. On what grounds? The transfer clause is legal. Bill and Bennett structured it as a personal consulting agreement, separate from standard employment terms. It's airtight. The recording cut off. I sat back, letting it sink in. The board was fracturing. Madison's credibility was gone, and Charles was realizing his daughter had just destroyed the biggest deal of his career. That afternoon, another bombshell. Sentinel Defense Group released a statement. Due to unresolved contractual concerns, Sentinel is suspending merger negotiations with Graybridge Defense Systems pending further review. Not terminated, suspended. That was worse. It meant they were keeping the door open while they explored other options. And I knew exactly what option they were exploring. An hour later, my phone rang. Thomas Vaughn, CEO of Sentinel Defense Group. Mr. Bennett, I wanted to inform you personally. We're suspending the Graybridge merger. I saw the statement. There's another reason I'm calling. My legal team reviewed your background. 23 years at Graybridge, primary architect on every major DoD contract they've won. The ironclad system's success is clearly tied to you, not the company. I waited. We drafted an alternative proposal yesterday. A direct partnership between Sentinel and you personally, if you're interested. I looked at the countdown, 14 hours, 8 minutes, 22 seconds. I'd need to review the terms, I'll send it within the hour. Mr. Bennett, I'll be direct. We need someone we can trust. That's you, not Graybridge. After we hung up, I sat there for a long moment. It was really happening. Not just the merger collapse, but everything after. A new path forward, one where I controlled the terms. The news broke fast. Sentinel suspends Graybridge merger. Defense deal in jeopardy over personnel dispute. CEO's daughter faces board scrutiny. I found a live stream from outside Graybridge headquarters. Madison was leaving the building, surrounded by security, reporters shouting questions. Her face was pale, jaw tight, eyes straight ahead. The caption scrolled across the bottom. VP Madison Lawson declines comment on merger suspension. Social media exploded. Someone found Madison's LinkedIn, where she'd posted about the merger 3 months ago. Proud to lead this transformational partnership. The future of defense technology starts here. The comments were brutal now. People were calling it premature, arrogant, uninformed. My phone buzzed. An email from Vaughn. Subject: Partnership Proposal, Bennett Defense Solutions. I opened it. The terms were generous. 3-year consulting contract, $15 million total compensation, equity stake in the ironclad deployment, complete creative control over technical decisions, part-time work, remote when possible. It was everything I'd wanted and never asked for. I forwarded it to my attorney with a note. Review this. I think we have a deal. His response came back in 5 minutes. This is excellent. Better than anything Graybridge ever offered you. Let's move forward. That evening, Carol and I sat on the porch. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple. She held my hand, something she hadn't done in a while. It's almost over, she said. Yeah. How do you feel? I thought about that. Tired, relieved, ready to be done. No regrets? About leaving Graybridge? No. About the 23 years? Some days yes, some days no. I built something that mattered. That counts for something. She squeezed my hand. It counts for a lot. The countdown on my monitor upstairs read 11 hours, 42 minutes, 6 seconds. By tomorrow noon, the ironclad system would be mine. Not Graybridge's, not Madison's, mine. And then I could finally let it all go. I didn't sleep much that night. Carol found me at 3 a.m. sitting at my desk watching the countdown tick down. She didn't say anything, just put her hand on my shoulder and stayed there until I finally came back to bed. Thursday morning arrived cold and clear. I made coffee and sat on the porch watching the neighborhood wake up. My phone was off. I didn't need distractions for what came next. At 11:55 a.m., I went upstairs and opened my laptop. The countdown read 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Carol stood in the doorway watching. You sure about this? She asked. Yeah, I'm sure. The numbers ticked down. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. At exactly 12 noon, the screen flashed. Transfer complete. No alarms, no fanfare. Just a simple notification and a PDF that appeared on screen. I opened it. The licensing certificate for the Ironclad protocol, updated automatically. Owner, James Bennett. 23 years of work, now mine. I downloaded the file, saved it in 3 separate encrypted locations, and sent a 1-line email to my attorney. It's done. His response came back immediately. Congratulations, nobody can touch it now. Carol came over and looked at the screen. That's it? That's it. She wrapped her arms around me from behind. How does it feel? Honestly, I just feel tired. My phone was still off, but when I turned it back on an hour later, it exploded. 43 missed calls, 67 text messages. My voicemail was full. The news had already broken. Sentinel Defense Group announces exclusive partnership with Bennett Defense Solutions. The press release was straightforward. Sentinel is pleased to confirm a strategic partnership with James Bennett for the continued development and deployment of the Ironclad Defense Protocol. No mention of Graybridge, no mention of Madison, just my name and the system I'd built. One of the texts was from Alan. Sir, I saw the news. Does this mean what I think it means? I called him back. It means I'm starting a consulting firm, and I'm bringing you on as technical director if you're interested. Absolutely. When do we start? 30 days. I've got to take my wife to Montana first. You earned it, sir. Another text came through, this one from a number I didn't recognize, but the message made it clear. Jim, this is Charles Lawson. I owe you an apology. I was blind to what Madison did. If there's any way to make this right. I stared at the message for a long time. Charles wasn't a bad man. He just made the mistake every parent makes, thinking his child could do no wrong. But some things can't be fixed with apologies. I wrote back, I appreciate that, Charles, but it's time for both of us to move forward. Good luck. The financial networks were running the story all day. Graybridge's stock was in free fall, down 31% total. Analysts were calling it one of the worst merger collapses in defense industry history. One headline read, how a $127K bonus clause destroyed a $285 million deal. That evening, my phone rang one more time. It was Randall Pierce. Jim, I won't take much of your time. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. We should have protected you better. Bill would have been ashamed of how this went down. Bill built the protection I needed 12 years ago. He knew what could happen. He was smarter than all of us. Randall paused. For what it's worth, Madison's no longer with the company. The board asked for her resignation this morning. I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. Just a dull acknowledgement. What about Charles? He's staying on, but it's complicated. The board's not happy. None of this had to happen. No, it didn't. After we hung up, I found Carol in the kitchen making dinner. Madison's out, I told her. How do you feel about that? I don't know. It's not about her anymore. It's about what comes next. Carol smiled. Montana? Montana. 3 weeks. Just us. We spent the weekend quietly. I ignored most of the calls, answered a few emails, and started sketching out what Bennett Defense Solutions would look like. Alan and I talked twice about bringing on 2 other engineers from Graybridge, people I trusted who deserved better than what that company had become. On Monday, I signed the partnership agreement with Sentinel. The contract was everything Vaughn had promised. 3 years, part-time consulting, complete control over technical decisions. After that, full retirement at 53. Tuesday morning, Carol and I loaded up the truck and headed west toward Montana. We'd rented a cabin on a lake, no cell service, nothing but water and trees and silence. The drive took 2 days. Somewhere in Wyoming, my phone finally stopped buzzing. The news cycle had moved on. Graybridge was someone else's problem now. When we got to the cabin, I stood on the dock and looked out at the water. The sun was setting, turning everything gold. Carol came up beside me. You did it, she said. We did it. I couldn't have made it through without you. So what now? Now? I go fishing. I stop checking my phone every 5 minutes. I remember what it's like to just exist without a crisis hanging over my head. And in 30 days, I go back, train Alan and the team, build something new with people who actually earned their seats at the table. Then in 3 years, I'm done for good. Carol smiled. I'm holding you to that. 2 weeks into Montana, my phone rang. It was a Pentagon area code. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Mr. Bennett, we have a situation. Critical infrastructure breach. I'll have my team contact you. Alan Ridgway will handle it. But sir, we specifically requested. Alan's good. Better than good. Trust him. I hung up and went back to the porch where my grandson was trying to tie a fishing knot. He was 7, all focus and determination. I showed him how to loop it properly, the same way Bill had shown me 30 years ago. Grandpa, did you really used to work for the Army? Sort of. I built systems that kept important things safe. Like what? Like power plants and communications. Things people need. Are you going to do it again? I thought about that. For a little while. Then I'm going to teach other people how to do it, and then I'm going to retire and take you fishing more often. He grinned. Deal. That night, Carol and I sat on the dock watching stars. The kind of stars you can only see when you're far from cities and obligations and 23 years of carrying other people's weight. Any regrets? She asked. About leaving? No. About how it ended? Maybe. I wish Madison had just read the contract. Would have saved everyone a lot of pain. You think she learned anything? I hope so. But that's not my problem anymore. Carol leaned her head on my shoulder. Bill would be proud of you. Yeah, I think he would. 72 hours. That's all it took to change everything. Madison thought she was cutting costs. What she did was hand me my future and prove that competence, loyalty, and doing the work actually matters. I'm 50 years old. I've got 3 years of consulting left, then I'm done. And somewhere in Virginia, there's a boardroom learning the hard way that some people can't be replaced. Not because they're irreplaceable, but because they earned it.